Hey guys, it's Miss Carell. Today I'm going to be talking to you about your code.org lesson for Level D, lesson number 12. And this is something that is brand new for you guys this year. We're going to be talking about conditional statements. Conditional statements are codes that we use in order to allow a computer to make decisions for itself. So far we've been giving a computer step-by-step directions of exactly what to do. We are going to start using conditional statements that will allow the computer to make a decision, which actually makes your code run a little quicker and always with less actual code. And so the first part of this lesson is going to talk about the if block, meaning if something is there, what do you want the computer to be able to do? There is a video here that you can watch before you begin your levels. I'm going to let you watch that on your own so we don't take up too much instructional time. This is your very first level. Hold on just a second. All right, so your first level is actually a question, and it wants you to look at the cloud. It's blocking you from seeing if there's a flower or not. So before, you could always tell what was on your screen, and you could tell your computer exactly what to do. Now we're not sure what's there. So take a look at the code that they've written. Repeat 3 times of move forward. 1, 2, 3. So that part's correct. Then if there's a flower, get nectar. That means if there's not a flower, what's the bee going to do? That means nothing. They're not going to do anything if there's nothing there. So I can answer this question by saying the bee will move to the cloud and try to get nectar no matter what? No, he's only going to try to get nectar if there's a flower, which is B. The bee will move to the cloud and only try to get nectar if there is a flower underneath. And then we can run it, and that is correct. So let's look at what that is to actually build one of those levels. This is lesson 3. It says check underneath every cloud to see if it's hiding a flower before you get nectar. If there's a flower under the cloud, the bee will need to get nectar once. So you're not going to know. And actually, each time you play this level, if you don't get it correct the first time, it's going to change. Sometimes there's no flowers. Sometimes there's 1 flower. Sometimes there's 2 flowers. You're not going to know until you click run. So we have to build the code so that the computer can decide what to do. Obviously, the first part is just going to be moving forward 2 times. And then we're going to need the bee to turn right. And I'm continuing to look at my blocks to see how many I have left. And then I want it to move forward. If there's a flower, what do I want the bee to do? I want him to get nectar. And then I need him to move forward. If it flower, get nectar. But check out my blocks. I've used 10 blocks. I'm only allowed to use 8. Do you see anything that's repeating that could be put inside of a repeat block, the loop blocks that we talked about in our previous lesson? I have move forward, if it flower, get nectar. Move forward, if it flower, get nectar. Those are both exactly the same. So I can take away one of those, add a loop block, make it repeat 2 times. Now I have used the correct number of blocks that I'm allowed to use. So notice when I ran that, there was no flower here. But since there wasn't a flower, he went ahead and moved forward and checked the next one. So that's how the if blocks are going to work. So you're going to work through level 4. Notice this one. Again, you're going to need to use that repeat block. Sometimes you have to scroll down to find it. You're going to do level 5, 6, and 7. Now, there's always instructions at the top, so make sure you're reading your instructions. Like this one tells me, now I just want to make honey. So it's no longer about flowers. It's about, is it going to be at a honeycomb? And if at a honeycomb, make honey. When you get to level 8, we're going to introduce the if-else block. So if something is there, do this. Else, meaning if it's not there, do something different. Again, I will let you watch that video on your own, but I wanted to show you a few of the levels so that you could see what that actually looks like to use it. So my instructions say sometimes a cloud covers a flower and sometimes it covers a honeycomb. Use the if-else block to collect nectar at flowers and make honey at honeycombs. So for this one, a little bit simpler. Move forward, because I'm moving forward 2 times. And then I'm going to use my if-else block. If I'm at a flower, what do I want my bee to do? I want it to get nectar. Else, meaning if it's not at a flower and it's at a honeycomb, I want it to make honey. And it turned out to be a flower that time. Again, that's going to change if you have to reset the level. It's not always going to be a flower. It's not always going to be a honeycomb. And again, that's part of the conditional statements of allowing a computer to make a decision on its own. Let me show you one of the harder ones. Let's do level 12, and then I'll let you guys get going on your own. So on level 12, it says, get all the nectar or make all of the honey. You can only collect nectar from flowers and make honey from honeycombs. Check any space to see if there's a flower or a honeycomb. So this might look like you're going to have to use a lot of code, but I'm only allowed to use 6 blocks. So I'm going to move forward. There's a cloud there. So I want to check, and if there's a flower, I'm going to get nectar. If there's not a flower and there's a honeycomb, we're going to need to make honey. However, that's only going to take care of the first question mark, the first cloud. I only have 1 more block that I'm allowed to use because I've already used 5. What block does that have to be? Thinking back to our previous lesson, it has to be our loop block. So I'm going to come down and get our loop block. I'm going to put everything inside that block. And then I'm going to count how many times do I need to make that happen. So when I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 clouds. So I'm going to make him move forward and check 7 times. Here we go. It's running a little bit slow on that one. Maybe. Anyway, hopefully it'll work on your end when you're checking it out. I hope this has been helpful for you guys with your level. If you get stuck or you have any questions, you can always email me. You can post a comment in Google Classroom. And I can also set up an individual meet with you where you can share your screen and I can help you through some of the levels if you get stuck. So good luck on using the if else with B. And I will see you for our next instructional video. Bye, guys.